Hey everybody, I wanted to do something different today and do a little behind the scenes on what's been going on here in the studio. We have just finished up doing our first in-studio photo shoot in a long time, and I wanted to share a couple of tips for you, for those of you who like behind the scenes information, and maybe for those who are thinking about doing photo shoots in the future. So 3 things I'll talk about. One is we took 12 pictures, 12 items, I should say, in pictures this time, which is a lot. So because so much time had passed from our last photo shoot and we had some catching up that we wanted to do. So we always put Post-it notes on each item that's going to be photographed. And so you might say, why would we bother doing that if we're so good at planning? Don't we know what we want to take a picture of? So the answer is yes. However, once things get rolling and you get started and you're moving things around, sometimes you forget or you skip over something if it doesn't have a bright sticky note with a number on it. So this way, when you peel off a sticky note and you have the number, you can visually see how far you are in the process based on how much time you've taken. And our photographer, Whitney, also appreciates coming in and getting a quick visual of how many things have Post-it notes on it and understanding what the scope of the session will be as well. So it's just very helpful, and it makes sure you don't forget something in the flurry of activity, which would be unfortunate and could be expensive if you have to extend the session or bring your photographer back again to get things that you missed that you really wanted. So that's important. 2, we've learned to group things together. So for example, we took pictures mostly of the gift boxes and the gift boxes together in one package, meaning you can take pictures of the gift box itself, and then we could take all the pieces out and take individual pictures of each of the items, which is cool, and we have done that, but that takes a lot of time. When we had 12 items, if 8 of those, say, are gift boxes, and we take individual pieces out and group them and take interesting pictures, now all of a sudden that's a long time for a photography session when you have all those pieces. So something to think about. An example of things that we have grouped together in the past that have not worked well is doing gift boxes together with cutting boards. And you might think, a cutting board, well, how hard can that be? Well, the cutting board itself is not difficult, but usually for a cutting board, we've also learned that it's good to put items on the cutting board. So to give people ideas and things to think about, and just it makes a festive picture. So if you're gonna put things on a cutting board, now you need to think of what you wanna put on the cutting board. You need to go to the grocery store, you need to get those things, you need to have them ready and prepped. And here's the thing, you can't put most food items on a cutting board ahead of time, because if you put nuts on a cutting board or meat or cheese, it will leave a mark. So if you want to be reusing the cutting board, you don't want to leave a mark, so that gets to be tricky. Or sometimes, depending on what you're putting on the cutting board, for example, I have taken pictures of apples in the past, and you can't prep apples and leave them on the cutting board and then come back and get them later. That results in brown pictures, which is not lovely and therefore not usable. So you've done all that work ahead of time. The same thing applies for if you want to take pictures of pouring a beer or beer foam, coffee, lattes, cute pictures of lattes. If you want to take a picture of anything bubbly, you have to pour that as soon as it happens, or it all disappears. And so then you have to pour it out and try it again. And so when you start putting food and beverage into your photos, it gets really interesting really quickly. So you really need to know what you're doing. So that's the second thing. And lastly, I'll say, think about your shot type. And by the shot type, I mean, do you need portrait? Do you need landscape? Do you need things zoomed in, zoomed out? All that matters for us. We need it all. So reason being, we have the website. So if it's a banner picture across the top, that's landscape. It could be elsewhere. We need a portrait. If it's too zoomed in, it doesn't work well in certain places. Social media likes portrait and zoomed in looks good there. So basically you need all kinds of different pictures for each thing that is important to photograph, and it all adds time. So you really have to be thoughtful on what's the order of things and how many do you have. Do you have them grouped together, and do you have too many groups of things that you need to just split it up? And what kind of photograph or what kind of shot do you need to take? So food for thought as you're thinking about doing your next photo shoot, or just having an idea of what the rest of us are thinking about as we do ours. So cheers.